witnessed two companions accept Islam at the same time. They were from a town called Belir. He said, I saw them, they accepted Islam, they came to the Prophet, ﷺ, they met him, and they accepted Islam at the same time. And he described their ibadah, how they would worship Allah. He said, one of them, they worshiped Allah much more than the other one. And he said, and the other one, he was just the average Muslim. He said, and then it came a time where there was a war, and one who was worshiping harder, he went out to war for jihad, which is actually something beautiful that some psychopaths have corrupted that word today, unfortunately. They've hijacked it for their own marketing. But at the time, even if you look at the history, some of the Roman would write to the Muslims, please come and bring your jihadists and save us. But today, unfortunately, the way the media and the way the people, they take that term, it's psychopath to even mention that. But that's such a beautiful thing. You fought for people's freedom. That there was tolerance around the world. That you let everybody do it. There was nobody was forced to do anything. Go read the history and see what that was like. So this brother, this companion, he sets forth and he goes to fight in the cause of Allah, and he dies. He dies as a martyr. And his friend, who accepted Islam at the same time as him, he outlives him by a year. Talha, radiallahu anhu, he had a dream. He said, in my dream, I was standing at the gates of the Jannah, at the gates of paradise. And a caller came out, and he admitted the companion that outlived his friend by a year. The one who wasn't trying as hard as the other one. The one who didn't die a martyr. Then the caller came back and he called the one who died as a fisabilillah. Then he called them. Then he came to Talha and he said, go back, it's not your time. It's not your time. So Talha went around telling the people this dream. And they were all shocked. They were just shocked, flabbergasted. How is it possible that somebody who dies a shaheed on the battlefield is admitted into paradise after the one who outlived the Ma'ir? So the talk started becoming the talk of town, to the extent that this news of Talha's dream reached the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he gathered the companions. He said, why are you guys amazed by that? They said, Ya Rasulullah, the one who died on the battlefield, he worked harder. He strived for the sake of Allah. And not to take anything away from the other Muslim, he was still doing his part. He stayed away from all the major sins. He was doing some good stuff, but the other one was working a lot harder. They said, but he was admitted to paradise before the other one, before the martyr. The Rasul is going to give you the reason right now why. This is the most important part of this hadith. Because the Prophet is going to explain why the one who outlived the martyr, the one who strove less, but he still stayed away from the major sins, still did all of his obligations and his requirements. But by the way, we have a lot of obligations. It's not just your 5 prayers. Somebody asks, oh, do you think this brother's good enough for marriage? He says, what's your criteria? Does he pray? Is that your only criteria? Yeah, what else is there? We've set the bar very low, unfortunately. What about his parents? How is he to his parents? What about his zakat? Do you know if he pays zakat? What's zakat? Is that the donation? Is that the Eid thing? See, everybody gets confused. There's a lot of requirements. So they were all doing their minimum, at least, right? So the Rasul answers. He said, as for the one who outlived his companion, didn't he live an extra year? They said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. He said, in that year, you see, there's a tartib. He said, didn't Ramadan come? Didn't the month of Ramadan come and he fasted it? They said, yes. He said, and in that year, weren't there prayers and he prayed them? They said, yes. He said, by Allah, the distance between those two in paradise is like the distance between the heavens and earth. You might say, well, how do you make sense of this? Do you know it's a lot harder to live for the sake of Allah than to die for the sake of Allah? Folks, when you're looking down the barrel of a shotgun, it's kill or be killed, it's over. You got nothing else left. It's right there at the moment. But that's why the Sahaba, they used to say, after they would come back from war, we left the jihad al-saghir. We came back from the small war, and now we approach al-jihad al-kabir. And now we're approaching the big war. The women, how they're going to start dressing in another, maybe even today. They can't wait. Start getting all naked. Start flaunting their beauty the way Allah told them not to. The fitna of investing the wrong way. I can make a quick buck here and there. The fitna of cheating and lying. The fitna of ignoring the family, cutting family ties. There's so many fitnas that come up, and we have to be ready for them so that the shaitan cannot fuel off on us. You see? And so you look at all of the prophets. Adam alayhi salam, when the angel of death came to him, and he said he was 960 years old, he said, it's time for death. He said, no, Allah told me I'm going to live to 1,000. He said, yeah, but didn't you ask Allah to give 40 of your years to your son Dawood? The prophet David? He says, I don't remember. If this is the prophet Adam, by the way, he knows who Allah is. He witnessed Allah. He answered to Allah. He spoke to Allah. And he said, I want to live longer. When Musa ﷺ was approached with the angel of death, he slapped him. You know why? He was so close to Jerusalem. He was right on the outskirts. He said, I'm so close. Not yet. So then the angel of death returns to Allah, says, your slave doesn't want to meet death. So he said, go tell him to put his hand on the bull or the ox, and the amount of hairs that are under his hand, I'll give him that many years. And Musa realized his mistake. It's his time, and no matter what, his time's going to come to when he said, at least for Allah, allow me to face Jerusalem. How much he loved Jerusalem, by the way. You look at all of them. All of them, they wanted to live a longer life. You look at the Idris, when they say about him, not authentically, but it's said about Idris, that he used to worship Allah so hard, so much in his lifetime, he used to earn the reward of half the Muslims on earth at his time. Wow. You see, we got an example to follow, folks. We're thinking about praying on time. These guys were way ahead of us. So he calls Jibreel, he says, Jibreel, can we go up to the heavens and meet Allah to ask him how much time I have left so I can work harder? You look at the difference between somebody who has terminal ill cancer, may Allah give everybody a good, healthy life and an easy recovery, versus somebody who doesn't know when their time is coming near. There's a very different mentality that they have. They start fixing their wrongs. They start righting their wrongs. They try to do everything they possibly can, even though we're supposed to do that without the cancer coming into our life. That's how we're supposed to act. Live every day like it's your last. That's how a Muslim's supposed to think. So you don't waste time. And so we look at this part, and Idris goes all the way up, and his time, and Allah's decreed that he will die in the fourth heaven, according to some reports. That's where his soul was taken. But they all wanted to live a long life, brothers and sisters. And Elijah even confirmed that in the Quran. That Ramadan, fasting, is one of the most important things that we can do in our lifetime. In Surah At-Tawbah, in verse 112, Allah mentions a tartib, an order of importance that we as Muslims should focus on. That we as Muslims should focus on. And the first type of people Allah is praising in this verse, Allah says, التائبون العابدون الحامدون السائحون الراكعون الساجدون الآمرون بالمعروف والناهون عن المنكر والحافظون لحدود الله وبشر المؤمنين. That Allah just said that the most beloved to Allah are those people who make tawbah. التائبون. Thing is, when we close to Allah, says, what am I doing wrong? What do you mean we're supposed to make istighfar, ask Allah for forgiveness and mercy? Every single time. It was reported the Prophet ﷺ in his sujood, he would be making istighfar 100 times. 100 times. To teach us this is what we're supposed to do. He needs to teach the ummah. Teach the ummah, that's what you're supposed to do. Sometimes we forget that we're falling short in a lot of things that Allah said. Sometimes we forget. So those people who come close to Allah, at-ta'ibun, that you start recalling the bad things that you did, that the things that you fell short in doing, and you ask Allah, please forgive me. Please forgive me. And you try to do better the next time. And then Allah has just said, al-abidun. Al-abidun ibadah. those who worship Allah. What kind of ibadah? Allah has just left it general. You know, because every individual is different. Every individual is different. You may all find there may be some people amongst us who are just in love with reciting the Quran. There might be some people amongst us who are very, very wealthy, that they have the ability, they love to donate, they like to help. There's some people out there who like to volunteer their time. They want to help others. Soup kitchens, poor people, food drives, clothing drives, whatever. Everybody has a unique thing that they like, that they enjoy, that motivates them. And that the beauty of our religion is you will find the ability to put that to good use. But just be consistent in that. That's very important. Because Aisha radiallahu anha, she reported that the Prophet said that the best and most beloved deeds to Allah are the ones that are most consistent, even though they might be few. You might think it's not big in the eyes of Allah. Brother stands up in the middle of Ramadan and says, I'm donating $100,000. You might say, wow, what is my stance with this guy on the Day of Judgment? Well, you might do something. You might help a poor person. You might teach somebody the Quran, just one verse. And in Allah's view, that might be better than 100,000. You don't know. It's whatever you're capable of. Whatever is at your discretion that you can use those skills. That's what Allah just said at Abi. You figure out what that ibadah is for you, and you hang on to that. No matter what, you be consistent with that. And then Allah just said, Alhamdulillah. Those people who are always praising Allah. Don't you love being around those people? They could have just got fired. They could have just lost their job. They could have got laid off. They could have lost a loved one. And it hurts them inside, but they say, Alhamdulillah. That I know, all praise be to Allah, that Allah knows what's good for me, and I'm content with that. That's what Alhamdulillah means. You meet those other people who are always complaining. Oh, it's because I was born in the hood. Oh, it's because I was dealt the wrong cards. Oh, because this, oh, because that. That's not the Muslim way. That's not the Muslim way to head yourself. You get out, you do your part, you fix your situation as best you can. Sure, there's other people who have some advantages. But as a Muslim, you never sit there and feel sorry for yourself. You say, Alhamdulillah, Allah put me in this position. What can I do to make Allah feel pleased with me? I'm going to take advantage of it. You can live your whole life blaming everyone around you, or you can take advantage of all the opportunities that Allah has put in front of you. One way or the other you got to look at it. Optimistic or pessimistic. And the people who are optimists, right, should be ones who have nice attitudes. It's nice to be around them until you see them, right? Some brothers, unfortunately, as it may be, they allow them to alleviate their situation, make it easier on them. They're always complaining. Always complaining. Always. 100% complaining that the people even know. They'll, oh, this brother, oh my God, I'm walking the other way. He's going to complain. I don't got time for this. Make me late for work. Because you know, oh, he's going to say this. Oh, it's another problem. We know. So we got to tell them that stop. This is not the Muslim way. Become an hamidun. Allah is praising these people in the Quran. Change the mindset. And it doesn't cost you a thing. It just changes the way that you look at life. That Allah puts you in a situation and it's going to be good for you. That's what we have to recognize. And then Allah mentioned as-sa'ihun, and then he said al-raki'un as-sajidun. Al-raki'un as-sajidun is ruku' and sujood. These are two actions you do in salah. So Allah's praising salah here after as-sa'ihun. So what is this as-sa'ihun? The companions, Abu Hurairah, Ibn Abbas, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Ibn Umar, many companions, they said, I swear by Allah, as-sa'ihun is as-sa'imun in the Quran. When Allah mentions as-sa'ihun in the Quran, He's speaking about those who fast, those who are fasting. Interesting, Allah in this verse, He put the fasting people before the people who make salah. As-sa'ihun ar-raki'un as-sajidun. So Allah is even praising those people who fast Ramadan. Those people who are fasting extra fast outside of Ramadan. Allah is praising those people. And this is one of the actions that we don't even know the reward for it. There's a few things that Allah has been silent about their reward. And it makes it that much more magnificent. Because you remember when you first heard that hadith, that the malaika are assigned certain deeds and certain rewards for certain things that you do. And then the narration goes that the angels recorded that slave of Allah fasted. But they don't know what to assign it. So then they go to Allah when they report. They say, Allah, the slave of yours fasted. How much to a sign of Allah? Allah says, write down that they fasted, and on the day of judgment, I'll reward them. He says, whoa, what's Allah got hidden for us? The person who forgives another person, that reward is with Allah. Because it takes a lot to forgive somebody. The reward for the female Muslims in paradise, we don't know. You see, you probably didn't even think of that. All of the rewards are really mentioned about the men, not necessarily mentioned about the women. But Allah Azza wa Jalla knows how difficult it is that the life that they go through, Allah said their reward is on the hereafter. Silent. So what are they getting? We know what we're getting. Some of the brothers are salivating, waiting for that day. I'm going to get 2 wives, I'm going to get this house, I'm going to get this ride that's at the speed of the eye. And they're ready. They're calculating, they can't wait. I know, I'm prepared, but they don't know how magnificent it's going to be. Sisters, we have this question mark. Might even be greater than what we're going to get because of what they're going through. Allah will make it so beautiful and so fair. And then Allah Azza mentioned about those people who want to be mu'mineen. Mu'mineen, He said, al-amiruna bil-ma'ruf wa nahuna 'anil munkar. Those people who enjoin in good and forbid what is evil. Enjoying what is good means that you're doing what Allah Azza wa Jalla asked you to do. You're following the sunnah of the Prophet when he told you to do something. The weirdest thing that's been happening is some people say, oh, I only follow the Quran, not the sunnah. This is the most stupidest statement I've ever heard in my life, and I'm saying it straight on the limb. Because they are so ignorant. In our religion, they don't even understand how the Quran came to us. They think it fell from the sky. I'm not kidding you. They don't understand that this concept of Islam, it's called the chain of narrators. That Jibreel told the Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad told the companions told the tabi'in told the tabi'in, and so on. If you were to go and get your ijazah in Quran, you would have that chain of narrators from your teacher with no disconnected chain all the way back to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's how the Quran reached us, folks. It came into print at the time of Abu Bakr. That's what Abu Bakr did. That's the body that he commissioned to put it in one book. That's what he did. But all of them knew the Quran. That's how it came. And the same method of transmission is how the hadith reached us. There's only one difference between them. One is the Quran and the other one is not. And the other thing is the ones that are not the Quran, they could possibly be authentic and not authentic. And yet there's scholars for that science, alhamdulillah, as well. That's why when you say I follow this and not this, you can't. It's not possible. That's not how the way the religion works. And this is the only religion on earth that has this concept of Islam. The only religion on earth that we can actually say, says, why do you pray 5 times a day? By the way, the Quran doesn't say so. The Quran mentions 3 prayers. So why do you pray 5? Well, Allah Azza mentioned in Surah Al-Hashr, whatever the Prophet Muhammad gave you, you do it. And whatever the Prophet made prohibited against, then you don't do it. You stay away from it. Allah specifically said, the rulings will be here, but the details will be with Muhammad. He will give you the details. And the Prophet told us there's 5 prayers in a day. That's it. Boom. End of story. He says, oh, okay. You see, that's when you have these people. That they're trying to separate them. And then the people who are staying away from evil. And they're recommending the people around them as well in private to stay away from those things. That you know Allah said stay away from X, from alcohol, from zina, from saying oof, just sucking your teeth, or even a sigh of relief when you're talking to your mother and father. You can't even do that. By the way, that doesn't matter if they're Muslim or not Muslim. You cannot do that. They say, oh, you don't know my mother. No, I don't care. I don't need to know your mother. You were dealt the cards and you can handle it. Period. Again, no more petty. Alhamdulillah, you have a mother. Some people don't have a mother. Rasul said, foolish and a loser is the person who their parents are alive in their lifetime and they do not enter paradise because of them. You wasted a big opportunity, folks. A major opportunity. So, when you hear something's not allowed, there's some Muslims today, I mean some of the college kids, some of the high school kids, is as well as the haram or is it makruh? Is it an abomination or am I going to get punished for it? Why? They're waiting for the line. They're waiting for enemy lines like they're trying to provoke. I'm right here. I'm right here, I didn't step there yet. But that's foolish. That's foolish. The Sahaba, they considered all of the mahrumat. They thought anything that was disliked or was an abomination in the religion, they stayed away from it like it was haram. Why? They created a buffer zone for themselves, folks. Because if they messed up, guess where they fell? In the abominable acts. They still didn't officially sin. But us, if we messed up, we're sinning. We're right there. You just, the tip right there. We're just jumping right over. So that's a smart thing to stay away from. How do you do that? Allah mentioned hudud, right? He said these things that Allah prohibited. وَبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And Allah said, if you follow these things, I want you to remember after this khutbah, Surah At-Tawbah, verse 112. وَبَشِّرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Try to do everything in this verse at least once in your lifetime and make a habit out of it. I ask Allah that He allows us to witness Ramadan. And I ask Allah that He allows us to, that He accepts it from us. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida yuslih lakum a'malakum wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum wa man yuti' Allaha wa rasulahu faqad faza fawzan 'azima. Very quickly, just as a reminder, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he told us in a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah that on the first night of Ramadan, the shayateen are shackled, that the devils are shackled, that they're withheld. And generally speaking, when I asked my teachers about this, they said that this is all of the general shayateen, that they're shackled. But the ones that are assigned to you in your lifetime, those are likely not. But anyhow, generally speaking, the shayateen are shackled. The jinns are restrained, and the gates of fires are shut such that none of them are open, and the gates of paradise are open such that none of them are closed. And the caller calls out, O seeker of good, come near, and O seeker of evil, stop. And there are those whom Allah frees from fire for the rest of their life. This happens on the first night of Ramadan, and the Prophet ﷺ said, and this happens every single night of Ramadan. Every night Allah is writing amongst His ibad, amongst His people, and amongst the people who are worshiping Him, that they will never set foot in hellfire. How many Ramadan nights went by in our lifetime that we didn't ask Allah to be one of those people? We wasted a lot of Ramadan nights. So we will need a Ramadan plan, and this is very quickly. Every single night, you're going to remember to ask Allah to make you written amongst those people. Don't lose that. Don't lose out on that. Number two, we all want to pray Tarawih. That's true. But there's a more important salah. You make sure you're on time for Salat al-Isha. That is more important than the other prayer. Don't let the shaitan fool you. They're praying all night. I'll just combine and I'll join them. No. You want to be wise. Don't let the shaitan make you lose out on so much ajr. The reward is in the Salat al-Isha, and then you can stay as long as you can after that. Donate every single day, brothers and sisters. Create a plan for yourself. Ramadan is such a beautiful month. Donate every single day in Ramadan. Even if it's $1, even if it's $5, whatever you can, but make a plan. Create the organizational list that you want to donate to, the masjid, the local masjid, etc. Also, if you never did i'tikaf in the last 10 nights and it's available to you in the masjid, depending on COVID, try to do it at least once in your lifetime. Recognize that it's a huge change. And last but not least, some of us, we focus on Ramadan on the 27th of Ramadan, and it shouldn't be the case. But nonetheless, lucky for you, you should know that it's also the 27th of April. We kind of lined up pretty easily this time. So try to take off the next day so that you can focus in your worship in that month and that night as well. Nonetheless, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He allows all of us to witness Ramadan. Allahumma ballagna Ramadan. Allahumma ballagna Ramadan. Allahumma ballagna Ramadan. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa tajawaz an sayyi'atina. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa tajawaz an sayyi'atina ya rabbal alamin. Allahumma ighfir lana warhamna wa tajawaz an sayyi'atina. Allahumma ihdina fi man hadayt wa 'afina fi man 'afayt wa tawallana fi man walayt. Allahumma barik lana fi ma a'tayt. Allahumma farij al-kurba 'an al-muslimina fi kulli makan.